Welcome to Tomes. Hi, we're your hosts, as usual, Cody and Jason.
Oh.
And we're excited to bring you another book club episode
Yes,
podcast.
we are.
Being.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, for the past couple of weeks, we've been trying to do Conan Exiles video game streaming kind of, or video game recording, I should say.
Yeah,
So it's kind of nice to actually sit back down and just talk about a book, talk about something.
it is. I'm excited. These chapters were phenomenal, and the
uh,
story's really picking up.
it's really picking up. There's a lot of good things, and we'll dive right on into it here in a second. So we'll quickly cover some fantasy news because I think we both him and I have been a little preoccupied this week with we're addicted to Conan.
It's been pretty fun. But some fantasy news.
Mhm.
League has a new champion that's coming out named Nafiri, if I remember correctly. I
Mhm.
am. It's really cool. I've been watching some gameplay from the test server. Um, Seems like, as usual, broken champ to be introduced.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, that's how it always starts. Is like these new champions will be extremely broken when they first come out, and then they nerf the heck out of them,
yep.
and then they finally then go the other way. It's a scaling thing. They're like, okay, super powered, super weak, a little bit overpowered, a little bit nerfed, and then finally they. It takes them like several patches to finally get it in the middle.
Yep. And even then, people randomly get buffed and nerfed as we go along. But
Yeah.
Nafiri is really cool. Pack animal has spawns other wolves in, so this is where it's most broken. It's other wolves that it has will block damage, and so
Oh,
it's an amazing jungler because you don't
I
take any damage whatsoever as you jungle.
dang. Yeah. No, that's fantastic. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and they don't have a ton of health, but your abilities, one of them makes them invulnerable, and the other one brings them back to full health.
Oh yeah, that's broke. That's gonna be broken so fast.
Yep. One of the cool ones abilities. It's the one that makes it so they're invulnerable. That's a side effect. Both of those, the effects, those are side effects. The main
Oh, you gotta
ability
be kidding me.
is that you set a target and you essentially tether yourself to them, and after a delay, you launch yourself to them and deal damage. So I was watching I think it was Zwag was playing against Kane in jungle, and
Okay.
Kane jumped over, like launched over a wall and eat away or queued away, and just did everything he could to get away. And because he had already set the tether, he jumped over like three walls, got to Kane, and then killed him. It's
Bro,
ridiculous.
dude. Okay, only thing I could think that would combat at least the wolves, like the involved wolves, is if you can do life steal off them.
You can.
Okay.
Zwag did a all lifesteal build with it. It was awesome.
Oh yeah. Just wow.
So,
Very
oh,
overpowered.
yeah. So, a lot of fun. I am on to
Okay.
your news.
So for me, mine are mostly movie trailers. The first one I will talk about a little bit more, just my personal impressions of, which is the One Piece trailer. Which it's like this: whenever it comes to anime to movie adaptation, it's already tough to begin with, and now you're going with One Piece, the one anime that is so whacking out there in animation style, and you're trying to make that live action. Some of the special effects are going to be wonky. And this is something that you need to kind of have in mind when you go into it. Now, some of the major pros I have with it is the casting. The casting look fantastic. The only beef I have is actually with Nami. Nami, because again, if you look at the manga, look at the anime, Nami is just, she is super animated, where she's just like, are you freaking kidding? Like, goes over the top. Whereas this Nami, and again, it could just be the director's direction that he's wanting to take it, is a lot more deadpan sarcastic.
Okay.
Which in one respects, like, it can work, doesn't work. It's just, it's not the Nami I know, not the Nami I'm used to.
Yeah.
Which again, whenever it comes to adaptation, things are going to change. Like there's going to be character changes, stuff like that. But the Zoro, Zoro is perfect. And Luffy, again, just the fact they have made it live action, Luffy isn't as, again, he can't be as crazy and rambunctious he usually is.
Yeah.
Instead, it's very much more like they're trying to make him be more like the mediator, so to speak. When Luffy's always like, that's funny.
Yeah.
Because like there's one line in the trailer where it's Nami and Zoro, they're talking to each other, and they're just like we're not part of his crew or anything like that, and they're like, and Luffy's like, I'm sensing a little hostility, and for me, I'm just like, Luffy, but again, you guys are funny. Automatically knowing, like in his mind, he's like, yeah, they're part of my crew. So again, it's just like it's gonna be the live action to animation adaptation that's gonna just throw it a little bit off, but it's not gonna be like this. It's I don't think it's gonna be Avatar: The Last Airbender bad, but I don't think it's gonna be like Rurouni Kenshin good. Like it's gonna fall somewhere in between.
Okay. I could definitely
and
see
it's
that.
very much, yeah, it's gonna be very much more of a wait and see at this point.
Yeah.
So, but if you guys want to go ahead, watch the trailer for yourself and form your own opinions. This is just mine.
Yeah.
From a guy who has watched over 1,000 episodes of One Piece.
And from a guy who can't get past episode like 5 or 6 because I keep having to restart it and then lose interest and the more less than lose interest, more I don't want to watch 1,000+ episodes. So I keep starting it and then stopping. But for me, I'm excited for it. I think it'll be kind of fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. And where I think they might be ending it is like as they get into the Grand Line. I think
Oh,
that's
yeah.
where the movie is going to end. It's going to be the movie's going to be gathering the crew.
Okay.
So that's what I believe the movie's going to cover.
Yeah.
Or live action. I'm not sure if it's a TV show or if it's a movie. That's where I don't know.
Well, let's
Either way,
look it up.
One Piece live action. Actually, I think I looked up to it before. It just said One Piece live action. Most of the time, though, when it does that, it's usually a movie, but it could be a TV series like they did with Death Note.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's the same production team behind the canceled Cowboy Bebop
I
adaptation.
saw that. Yep.
Oh no.
It's a series. One Piece
It's a
season
series?
1 will be released on Netflix globally on August 31st of this year.
Okay. All right, August 31st. We'll wait and see, and we'll hold our breath. Because I know for a fact that Cowboy Bebop, again, casts look great and amazing. Bad execution, though.
Yeah.
So, I'll
Oh.
hold my breath right now.
Don't hold it too long.
But onto a good movie trailer.
Yes.
Dune Part 2. Again, they released another trailer, and this kind of revealed more on what they're wanting to do with it, and I'm behind it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I thought it looked really good. It really laid out the more, like a better term, religious side to it that
Mm-hmm.
the book is more heavily focused on.
Yeah.
And I really liked how they went with the trailer, and it looked really good.
And I do like who they cast for the Padishah Emperor.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Christopher Walken.
I know that name, but what is he in?
First one comes to mind is Click.
Oh, him. Yes, 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 yes.
It's like if you want to do it. I can't do a good Christopher Walken impression.
It's also in Batman Returns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Christopher Walken as the Padishah Emperor. Don't get me wrong, in my mind's eye, I pictured a younger man, but I'm all for this.
I think he'll do a great job.
As soon as it came on screen, I'm like, who the heck is that? And I was like, wait, who's talking? It's Princess Aurelian. So, oh, it's the Emperor. Okay, it's the Padishah Emperor. Okay.
Okay, cool.
So I'm all for everything that I've seen. I might actually, yeah, I'm gonna do another Dune Part 2 trailer breakdown later.
Do it.
Yeah, I'll probably do it sometime this week. And yeah, I'll do it this week. Work's not super busy this week, so Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see it. I think it'll be really good.
Yeah. And I'm excited to see the movie too. It's going to be really good. I am so hyped. I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, me too.
But with that, I think we are now ready to move on to our key segment.
Yeah, let's talk about the book.
The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. And as we get further in, the more it just gets really good. Like
It
I
really
like
is.
it's like the critique I have is both a positive and a negative. It's like I do like how fast paced it is, but I also don't like how fast paced it is.
I know, and I think that's something that we've hit pretty hard.
Multiple times.
I
Yeah.
am. So I think we can leave that one out. We both feel the same
Mm-hmm.
way. It goes too fast and not fast enough at the same exact time.
It's just more on like I'm glad that now I'm like plowing through these events very
Yeah.
quickly. But I'm like, I do want a little bit more time to emphasize some of this.
Yeah, more
And
build up to it and
yeah, like that's it. Like for me, I'm just like, I do want a little bit more build up. But I do also like how I really liked Asha's chapters in this section
yes,
that we did. Hers were the most interesting.
definitely.
But again, oh my gosh, main character Davian.
Davian.
Davian's was very informative.
Very informative.
Very like, oh my gosh. Like holy smokes. Although okay, just curious in your I'm just going to ask this overall, which chapter felt the longest in this section?
That's hard. I think chapter 30, like 33.
Yeah.
I think that was Caden's chapter.
Yeah. That was Caden's chapter. Okay, same here.
Um, I remember like checking the clock a few times while I was reading it and just be like, oh man.
Yeah, it's a beefy chapter. And for me, I was thinking, oh, wait, no, 32, was it 31? I thought was the longest one.
Yeah,
But that one felt good. Like, it was just like entertaining. It kept you hooked. A lot happened.
yeah.
Actually, let me see here 357 to 57 is 372. So about 23 pages for chapter 31. I said 23, right?
Something like that.
Okay, 23.
And 10 pages for 30. Oh, that's 34. Um, 85 to 99, so 14 for
Yeah,
33. It's
okay.
shorter, but it felt
It
longer.
felt longer.
And I think
So much
part
longer.
of that is because it went to three, it has like three parts to it.
Yeah, that chapter just had like a lot. Don't get me wrong, it
It's
covered a
good.
lot of good stuff. It's just, I think it was because it was broken out. That's what made it feel longer.
Yes. Because there's a cadence section, a worse section, and then back to cadence.
It's, I'm not gonna say it went to where it went more to, oh my god, Terrace.
Yeah.
It was more Terrace, but it was again. It was very weird how we went like Caden, Terrace, Caden again. It just went back and forth. So that's what I think made it feel long is because we had a good old dream sequence, then Terrace, then kind of that interaction, just more like true third person on everything that's happening, and then we got pulled back into Caden.
Yeah. What was your least favorite chapter? I know you said this is the longest, but was it also your least favorite chapter?
Actually, I think chapter 30 might be my least favorite
Really?
out of this section because it's it's more confirmed what we already like had suspicions of. Don't get me wrong, it did have a couple of good, interesting nuggets.
Yeah.
Just like hearing what really happened with Terrace and Davian. Like
Okay.
that was the main part that was just like, okay, that's great, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
The rest of it, I was just like, we kind of already know this is going to be. This is where 30, yeah, chapter 30 should have actually been longer and a little bit more drawn out in the just the conversation that they had talking about that experience.
Yeah.
Like, this is where for me it felt like that information was very rushed through instead of I'm not saying you have to dissect it like sentence by sentence, but give a little bit more feeling. Like, honestly, when we got to Terrace's perspective on what happened with Davian, it was very much more like, again, this is where it's accurate to how someone would actually portray the event, like how they would actually explain it. Like, if, again, if you and I to summarize what happened in what we did last time in Conan, it's very much, it goes in that line of an actual interview.
Oh, definitely.
But this is where it's also a book. We can dive a little bit more deep into it. So that's where it's just like, I understand what he's going through, but I would like just a little bit more breakdown of just like Terrace going, I felt flustered. I didn't know what exactly to do. I talked to this administrator. He wasn't going to do anything. Like having just that little bit more explaining his emotional state during it
Yeah,
to draw it out just a little bit longer to make it feel a little bit more real, so to speak.
I can definitely see that.
That's why for me I wasn't completely jiving with it. Like, don't, again, I love the information it covered,
Yeah.
but then it gets foreshadowed. Like, it just, then the rest of the chapters were just really good and like really progressing the story.
I agree, actually, 100%.
So that's why I can say that's the least favorite, because immediately me and you were talking about like Davian's chapter, we're talking about Ash's chapter, we're talking about Caden's chapters. Like, immediately those are the ones we're going to. Not exactly we're coming out to Terrace explaining who he is and him going, huh, okay.
That's fair. Although I do have a favorite part to chapter 30,
Okay.
and that's learning the new augur power. Can I
Yes.
just. It reminds me of a certain something.
Okay.
I, Lelouch V. Britannia, command you all to die.
Yeah, yeah.
So
we we
we
got into real
learn.
code chaos there.
I know, right? So what happens in that chapter is Terrace tells the story of why he was arrested and what truly happened with Davian, with Davian.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially what goes on is that while he's being beaten, Terrace just goes in to try and stop him. And then they see the mark on Davian because that's when he earns it. And as a result, they go to kill him. And there's a guy who draws a knife and goes to start cutting him. And then he says that that's the mark. Like, after that, everyone just stopped and everyone got knives and everyone started cutting themselves. And he looked and he saw Davian. He was void basically of anything. He was all a defense mechanism, but he was controlling them. And he was
Mm-hmm.
do this. And that's what we saw before a couple chapters ago, where we're talking about maybe he's suicidal or maybe he's going to kill someone or something with Terrace just sitting there.
Yeah.
It's an aftershock of his power. It's still affecting him, or it was still affecting him until Davian disappeared.
Yeah. Which, again, I found it very interesting, but now this actually leads me to a couple speculation ideas.
Ooh, tell me.
So, again, we'll cover this a lot more in depth
Yes.
in Davian's chapter, but Davian becoming void, becoming all of this, I believe that it's Essence and Khan working together. Like, it's not working together, but he's using Khan to manipulate Essence to control them.
Yeah.
That, again, that's what I believe is going on.
I'm pretty sure that's like explicitly stated in Davian's chapter.
Yeah. Oh, I believe so too. It's just one of those things I'm not sure. And again, this is where I'm going to rehash on that. Is imagine if Terrace is just like, I was scared to death of just what was going on. Like, again, I want a little, when he's telling that story, I want a little bit more emotion from Terrace to say it was beyond horror. Like, and this is where it could even go to like we're seeing Terrace shake.
Yeah.
Like, just have some type of way to convey just like, that is terrifying. Like, just because in my mind's eye, like I'm adding to this. I'm imagining it up in my head, just like imagine you walk in on this and they are drawing the knives and cutting him open, and this is the reason why I was more leaning towards this is when he was using essence with it, because he is basically about to, well, he's dying.
I think he already died. I think at
Yeah,
this point
he
he's
died,
already
and that's
died and
why
he's
he
back.
drew in the essence, and
Yep.
that's how he got the mark.
Yeah.
That, or he was close to it, and it's his subconscious quickly stepping in, because it was once they saw the mark that they drew the knives
Yeah.
to start cutting into him. I think, yeah, as they cut into him, that's when it killed him, but I think he enacted on the essence prior to his death, which is what gave him the mark.
Yeah.
Because again, it's the body trying to defend itself.
Yes. Yep.
So that's what I believe was like happening scene by scene kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh man, that was brutal though.
It was so brutal, and this is where I do like the way he is doing the brutality in this.
I agree. He has a line that he won't cross, or hasn't.
Yes.
He doesn't seem like he will. He will be brutal. He will state these events happened, and you can picture it vividly, and it is grotesque and disturbing, but he doesn't dwell on it.
He doesn't go into the details.
He
like
doesn't.
It's like using this thing as an example. He doesn't go like as the blade came across his cheek and the warm blood began trickling down his face. He's not going into that kind of gross detail. Instead, he's just like, yeah, no, they do nice, start cutting into themselves, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. And I really appreciate it. And that matches his style of writing. And it's actually something that a lot of the times we've complained about, where he tells instead of shows. This is a great time to tell instead of show.
Yes. This is where it is. Because when it comes to like gory stuff like this, yeah, I would prefer to tell us than just show us. Again, still show us, but don't go into detail.
Yeah. And he does that really well here, and he does it really well in a future chapter with Caden. And we'll get there a little bit later, but I think it's a good way to transition to chapter 31.
Yes. Chapter 31, which is, yeah, Davian. Where we find
It's
out
Asha.
Davian's been dead. Oh, Asha? Okay.
Spoiler alert, he's been dead.
Spoiler. He's been dead. Okay, yeah, Asha.
So this is...
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
this is the first chapter of Asha. There's 2 in these 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This chapter, the first part of it, for me, was pretty slow. Which
I would agree.
it definitely felt more just, oh, there's this and dealing with things. And at first I was really frustrated because I was like, it's not talking about Davian. She just saw him and there's nothing. And then it kind of references it, and
like it references it like after a page or 2.
Yeah.
Like this is where in one respect it's girl talk.
Yeah, it is. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of skimmed that part. I just kind of like meh, da, 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 da. But then it gets really good. This is where we find out how epic Cole is.
Oh, seriously, like Cole, I'm just like, you don't mess with Cole, man. Nobody messes with Cole. Cole's your bruiser. Cole is your defense.
So, in summary, Asha ends up getting knocked unconscious by a shadow, or 2 shadows really, but one. And
yeah, it gets kidnapped.
And she gets kidnapped. They keep saying that, she needs to give them the information for the Shadrahan.
The leader of the shadows.
Shadrahan,
aka leader of the shadows.
Yes.
In the city.
And they even mention in there that she'd be pretty irritated, or he, because everyone still thinks it's he except for Asha, and after Davian tells her.
Even still, Asha does not fully believe Davian yet, because she doesn't fully believe that she saw Davian. She has strong suspicions. She's not discrediting it, not by any means, but she's just like, okay, let's play. She's like hedging her bets. Yeah. What if it really was Davian, and what if it wasn't? It was very much more that line. She's flipping back and forth between.
So the only reason I'll disagree with that is because when she talks to the shadows, I'm the ones that kidnap her. They
Mm-hmm.
mentioned that the leader of the Shahadran, or should
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get this right. I don't care how many times I have to say this. I will get it right. Shadrahan, that I don't know its pronunciations right, but that's how it's spelled. But that they keep saying he, and the first thing she thinks is they must not know that it's a girl.
Yeah, like this is where I'm gonna say she is leaning more towards Davian, but she still has the inner conflict of. I'm like again, it's obvious she's already made up her mind,
Yes.
but she's voicing that as like, I'm not really. Was it really him?
Did it
I
really
believe it
happen?
is. Was that wistful thinking? Was that a dream? Like you just see her like she's trying to do like the mental gymnastics to either not believe it.
She's at
It's
the
more disbelief.
trust. She's at trust but verify.
Yes, that's more. That's the terminology we're looking for.
And that's where the her next section comes into play. But this one, she gets kidnapped, and then she's able to get a message back to the group, and
Mm-hmm.
they come in, and at first there's like, we'll just sneak her out. And then Cole sees how beaten up she is. She's black and blue and bloody, and
With caked on blood,
caked on
and Cole's
blood.
like, "Oh hell no!"
You. But the really cool thing for me, this was his moment to fully accept her in as one of their members.
Yes,
Because before
yes.
all this, he never trusted her. He didn't want anything to do with her. He was very antagonistic, if not cold, just cold to her. And
Mm-hmm.
everyone's just like, once he becomes your friend, he's such a great friend, but you have to earn that loyalty. And
Yeah.
he happens, he sees her and just goes, nope, walks over, shatters the door, and proceeds to literally bash each of their faces into the ground and into the walls.
Mm-hmm.
Just nothing. They had no chance at all.
And dude, this is where I'm like, Cole gets cold,
Yeah, he does.
cold, Cole, man.
Oh, I'm gonna nickname him Dominic Toretto because I can just picture him going, "No one messes with family."
I was actually gonna go Stone Cold Cole.
Stone Cold Paul, yes. Oh man, that was great though. It was another
It
one of
was
those
great.
where he went more in depth, but not over the top with the brutality. Where he said he is smashing his face against the wall, and you can picture it.
Oh yeah.
And it's just like, oh man, that guy's pissed.
You're just like, oof, don't cross him, don't cross him.
I just love how they said in the helicopter, they're just like, make sure he doesn't kill anyone, please.
I was like, all right, all right. Which, in my mind's eye, that's like it's like a D&D scene, okay? In more respect, it's like a D&D scene.
Yeah.
You had the rogue go in, do the stealth, come out, and they're like, oh, that's it. They need to pay. They need to pay for what they did.
This is a stealth mission.
Not anymore. Cole the barbarian just goes in.
Yup. Yeah, he's the barbarian that multi-classed into mage.
Mm-hmm. He really is. Actually, it's more on he. Yeah, he is definitely barbarian. He's a
Sorcerer.
sorcerer.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's inherent.
Okay.
But
It's inherent. Yeah. Yeah. We're on the same wavelength. All right. So now we get to Davian's chapter because I think that's
yes.
a nice little summary of it. Other than the last little bit is the message that the Shahadran sent, which
Yes.
was the two people who kidnapped her's heads on a pike, basically,
Inside of a box with a note.
inside a box, and said, "I'm sorry."
Yeah, literally. I
I
apologize.
apologize.
It's like, yeah, that's about right.
And I do like how he does state oh no, that's in the next chapter with Asha.
Yeah.
Where she's just like, I've seen so much gore and death.
No, no, that's this
Doesn't
one.
even faze me. Oh, is it?
That is that one. That's the end of the chapter.
Okay.
Where she says that. Well, so it does phase her, but she says that she isn't surprised.
Yes. Okay.
What happened almost didn't surprise her, but this is the last paragraph. It says, even so, as she lay back on her bed and closed her eyes, she knew she wouldn't be able to forget their final expressions from her mind for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it's horrifying. Um,
But
but
again,
yeah,
I like how he's just like, yeah, it's just their heads in a box. Didn't go just like, oh, their face was like a weird scowl, weird look.
well,
Doesn't go into depth about it.
it says that their expressions are taught with fear. So, like I
Okay.
said, it doesn't go over the top, but you can picture them. You can see if you're willing to.
Yeah,
If
you can
you're
get the image in
if
your
you're a
own head.
visual reader, like you are as well, correct? Yeah. It's a movie. We read that,
Yep.
we see it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
But yes.
All right. So
Chapter
now,
32. Davian.
32. Davian.
Davian's dead?
Dead. Yep. Dave. Oh my gosh. Davian's dead. He's died. Yeah. He's a zombie. He's a necromancer.
Yeah, I think necromancer is the best term for what he is. Because so, to sum it up, there's two forms of magic. There's the essence, and then there's con. And
Mm-hmm.
con basically is a greater version of it. It not really. It explains it in this chapter. You read the book to get the full explanation of what con is. Basically, you can use con to manipulate essence, but you cannot use essence to manipulate con. That's a way to sum it up.
Yeah. There's sympathy and then there's naming.
I know. That's really I read that. I was just like, okay.
It's very
It's
much like there's the two magic systems.
there is. I am. The cool thing is that they intertwine them in this one though, a little
Yeah.
bit more. And so I really appreciate that. I am
Mm-hmm.
but basically at some point in time, Davian died. I actually have a feeling it's not when he was beaten.
Okay.
As going through it all, I just keep getting this feeling I don't think it was then. I think it's gonna be something else entirely. I'm
Okay.
maybe even before, not before that, but that point or after. But I think he has some time where he dies, and
Okay.
then when he dies, the essence is able to he's able to drag essence from other things, enabling him to survive because they everything needs essence in this world to survive. It's like the Force. Honestly, that's what I kept thinking of because everyone has like everyone has the Force. Everyone has essence, and he pulls from
Mm-hmm.
other people to maintain himself and to live. Without it, he would be dead.
Yeah, and it's not like he's like giga draining everybody around him. It's more on like it's a steady influx and steady income.
Yes.
It's just enough to keep him alive, so to speak.
Yeah.
And
But he has no essence pool himself that he can draw
mhm.
on, which is why he's never been able to do magic before using essence because he has no pool to draw on.
Yeah, the way I'm more viewing it is like he doesn't have an essence pool. He has an essence like pipe where he's able to draw it in, but he has no way like to keep it in him
That's fair.
other than to keep himself alive. That's why I say it's almost like a stomach. He's able to digest it, but it comes out in the end. Because the body's also absorbing it because that's how he's living.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I hate that analogy. And there's no byproduct.
Yeah, so it's not crappy magic.
Boo.
I saw it. I had to hit it. I had to. I had to make that pun.
Well done.
But no, I really do like the way they do describe the difference between essence and con, as it's going to the pool with the versus using your hands and actually using a cup.
Yeah.
I do like that kind of analogy. It kind of like does differentiate to me. Another analogy that came to my mind, and this probably is way inaccurate. The way I was more seeing it is like think of like a horse carriage. Essence are the horses, and con is the carriage driver.
Okay, I can see what you're talking about with that.
Yeah, because it's like the Khan can use it to help steer and manipulate the horses or the essence, but they're not the horses themselves. Like
That's
it's just
fair.
more like they can direct it, and yeah, that's more like the analogy that came to my head when I was trying to understand it.
That makes sense. I think the only thing that where the other analogy made more sense is that using con, you can do more with essence than people who just have access to essence can do to themselves.
Yes.
They can do things with it that specifically things regarding time, space and time.
Mm-hmm.
I
The
am
natural state of the world,
yes. So it's
which
really cool with that.
yeah, I like it, and not just because the whole nature magic is something that I'm very attached to.
Yeah. Um, I think that's kind of the main point on this one. I mean, there's some other things
Yes.
talked about, but it didn't really seem that important.
Uh, again, it's just I do like the way Malash is teaching Davian about all this. Like
Yeah,
the way he's teaching as a teacher is almost flawless
yeah,
because he's very much like, okay, you know, I'm not going to tell him there's a deadline because I need him to study. Because once he has the information, then I'll tell him because it's going to motivate him to train hard.
yes. Because before
I
it would
love
cripple
that.
him. Now,
Mm-hmm.
because he's already started, it's, well, I'm already learning this stuff and I'm liking this. I need to study as much as I can because I don't have all the time in the world.
Yeah, I really like how it's more on like, okay, now it's going to propel him. It's going to make him work harder. I like that idea because it's very much, it is the teacher working with the student
Yes.
and going with their strengths versus just like, oh, here's the textbook. Best of luck.
Yup.
So
Yeah, I think it's,
that's kind of mostly it. Other than they talk about other augur abilities, just very briefly,
yeah.
which I'm getting very much. Yeah, this is
Well,
where Wheel of Time vibes are hitting hard for me.
so one of the things I did take from this that when they're talking about it
Mm-hmm.
is that Davian in his essence, like as his base form, is constantly using con, and con in its base form absorbs essence, which is why that city completely absorbs essence. They can't use it there because it instantly gets absorbed.
Yeah,
So that's what he is. He is literally this city walking around.
yeah, he's the walking city. Yeah,
And what I see him doing in the future, which I really hope he does, is essentially he could just walk up to like these creatures and such, rip the essence out of them, and they just die.
I have an idea. I hope this happens. If it happens in this book, I'll be happy. But if not, I'm okay with
What?
it. So again, this is where I'm relating Davian to Rand real quick. Randolph Thorne.
Okay.
I want like again, we're leading up to this great big battle in Illinois
Yeah.
where the blind are coming in. We're getting all this information. All the augurs that are seeing in the future are like, okay, we're gonna die. It's gonna be this. It's gonna be that. But the one anomaly is Davian, because
Hmm.
Davian is actually slowly going through the time stream and manipulating and changing it. I would love for him to like, as soon as he's like done training, done with the rift, he gets pulled out and to the battlefield, fully trained like as an augur, and just decimates.
That would be awesome.
Like straight up, he walks in and he just straight up absorbs all the essence from the blind.
Yeah.
Just absorbs it all and uses it to cure all the shadows.
That would be cool.
That would be dope.
That would be really cool. But here's the thing. When will he get captured?
That's the big question.
So he knows that she meets with the Shadrahan, the Shadran. Um, so I'm guessing that he will go back to them for a time
Mm-hmm.
before he does get captured.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to get captured in this book. I think this is one of those things that's going to be built over the series.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is probably something that's going to happen at the end of book 2, is where he gets
Yeah.
captured.
Or even halfway through book 2, maybe.
It could be.
Could be.
We'll
But then
see.
again, with the way he goes, how fast he goes, we might get it in this book.
So the only reason I'm not,
I'm joking. Like I'm
I know.
confident you're right in this.
The only reason why I'm so confident is because I've read the last page. Or I saw pieces of the last page. So that's the only reason. Because I cheated.
I figured as much.
It was something from the first thing. I wasn't even trying to. I was just kind of like flipping through, and then it happened to open to it, and I was just like, "Wait a second, what?" And that's how I knew that Caden was Talcamar.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Anyways,
So, speaking of Talcamar, chapter 33.
Perfect segue. I did that on purpose.
Yes. It's like we planned this or something. No, we did not plan this. This is all improv.
we don't plan anything. Are you kidding me? We're two people with ADHD. You think we plan anything in our lives?
I plan some stuff, but then dyslexia kicks in and makes my workload double.
See, this is why I married my wife, because she's the planner and I'm the, hey, look, a butterfly.
And I'm the planner in my marriage.
I'm worried for you.
I think I do a pretty good job. It's
You
just
do.
dyslexia. So, okay, quick side rant. So today I actually had to do double the work for work. Because what happened was, because again, we did a media day where we had all these guests come in.
Yeah.
And so on the file I have, I typed the name, and I even had like a Google Docs open. But thing is, we didn't know how they spelled their names.
Oh no.
So I did my best, and one of them I was like, okay, this is obviously my dyslexia kicking in. I'll just say his name's Jeffrey.
Okay.
And I switched where the R was. I put like JEFFER, actually, yeah, REY. Jeffrey.
Jeffrey.
Instead of ERY.
Okay.
I was like, okay, obviously dyslexia kicked in. Other ones were weird, like it was Stacy with an E in it, like STACEY.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, okay, that's just. And for me, I was like, I'm not sure if that was just like my bad typing or it could have been autocorrect too. But I had to go back through. And thing is, with all these videos, I have like you see on the news how you have like that little tag pop. I was like, oh, this is so and so.
Yes.
I had to go back in, and because I have that in After Effects, I had to go to the After Effects, change the names in all of them, put that back into Adobe Premiere Pro, re-render the videos, re-upload the videos. Like it was just like, okay, this should have been something I could have tackled if I was actually given the right names.
Yeah.
And how they were spelled, or if Google didn't go through kick it in, or my dyslexia kicking in. But anyway, enough side rant.
So
33,
chapter 33 starts off with a dream sequence, and I really want your opinion on the sequence. What did you take from it?
I find it very interesting. I really did like the dream sequence, and I like how it's diving more into now these snake folk.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where Caden's character, I think right now, is the most interesting character. Caden is so much of a mystery. Just like, yes, we know who he is. We know that he's Tal Kamar, but he's an enigma, even though we know who he is.
Yeah.
Like, it's very much more like, oh, this is the legend, the great man himself. We're like, okay, but what made him great? Like,
yeah.
tell us his legend. Tell us the tale.
Well, Captain Jack Sparrow. Sorry, keep going.
And we're slowly being told it, like through these dream sequences, through these flashbacks, or meeting up in like this essence void.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy this, and now I'm like, okay, now we have the reason why the snake people are kind of after him. We don't know the why yet, but he has a connection to them.
Yeah.
Now we know that there is a solid connection to them, and it's not just like, oh, evil beings chasing after this mysterious legend.
Well, So we know that Talcamar used to be evil.
Yes.
And this is one of those times where he was with the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
But it still has his personality through it all. It
Yes.
has that respect. It has the goodness that's in him. And it
Mm-hmm.
comes through because he's not just an evil person working for the bad guy. He's a good person who's working for the bad guy. Why? We don't know. We don't know what put him into that spot. But he's with these creatures and they train him to use powers. Like
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous powers. And because they know they'll be resurrected, he he kills them.
They're like, come on, show me your full power. I'll come back. Just hit me.
You know? It's like angel beats.
Yes, yes. I still love that episode where they all like, and I love how they even go about it. They're just like, remember me, and then it's just so anticlimactic they die.
I know, right? but but yeah, it's really cool how they did all that. They set it up, they gave them names, and even how he says, they all look identical, but it's this one.
And this is where I'm like, I love how in this dream sequence we get that emotion. We get
Yes.
that emotional connection because we now see Caden like, I do not want to see him suffering in pain. And as it happens, you feel it. You're like, oh my gosh, this is a man this is a snake man he respected.
Yeah.
And which in turn makes you go, I love how now I'm like seeing their culture. I'm like, okay, I understand their culture, and it's no longer this alien force coming in to attack. It's they have their own culture, they have their own customs, they have their own way of doing things,
Yeah.
and that makes them come alive so much.
They're being humanized. And
Yes,
I mean, honestly, I like these snakes better than I like that country they were in that hunt down the ones with essence.
same here, man. I'm just like, you know what, snake people overrun that country. I'm on for
Yeah,
it.
take it. I think you guys way better.
You guys have honor.
Exactly.
Whereas we have Alric here who had to throw a fight because he didn't want to hurt their pride and ego.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I mean, to be fair, you've seen sports games and heard of the Raiders,
Yes.
to call a group by name. Raiders
Raider
suck.
Dave!
Raiders suck. Change my mind.
They do. Actually, no. One funny bit, it's actually from American Dad. One of Roger's personalities is a Raider fan named Raider Dave. And he's, at one point, he's trying to get, like, going through tax deductions.
Oh, no.
And he asks Klaus, as being the tax consultant, he's like, I gotta ask you this. If I was in Denver, Colorado, and I smacked a kid because he was wearing a Bronco jersey. That's Raider country. I'm like, no, it's not. And I just love that little subtle joke. But
Yeah,
anyway.
that is hilarious. So, okay, my turn for a tangent.
Okay.
So, my dad absolutely loves John Elway. He was the quarterback for the Broncos a while back. And because of that, my dad, all growing up, he's like, Broncos are our team. That's who we love. And so I was like, great, that's who I love. I have no idea about the other teams. I love the Broncos. And I was looking at school one day, and this kid's like, oh, you like football? I'm like, yeah, I love football. Oh, yeah. He's like, what team do you like? I'm like, oh, I love the Broncos. And he goes, and he starts like cussing me out. Just like, man, you suck. You're a loser. Raiders all the way. I'm just like, man, screw Raiders. I don't like any of you anymore.
But don't get me wrong. At one point, we're like, okay, I don't think I like the Broncos that much, but that was just because of our roommate.
Yes. Because of him, they're no longer my favorite team.
Yes.
That kid was a
Get
punk.
credit. He was a punk. It's one of those things like, okay, I can understand Raiders cussing out a Bronco fan. Like, if it's that, if it's those two polar opposites, it
Yeah.
makes sense.
Well, yes, but at the same
But
time,
casual football, like, who gives a crap?
exactly. Uh, yeah. I'm not going to go into it.
Okay.
Anyways, back.
Back to
So,
the book. Back to the book. Focus. Side rants are done for now.
part
But
2.
of Caden. Yep. He wakes up from the dream.
Yep.
And then they go into I
So
want to say mass grave.
they go to a city, and this city is absolutely obliterated. The walls, so this city was a walled city with a garrison. Everything, every building, every wall is torn down. Everything is gone. The bodies are everywhere. And this is where he does a really, really great job of showcasing how horrifying this is
Mm-hmm.
without going too graphically into detail. It's one of those where
Yes.
he tells it great, and I'm glad he doesn't show it and express it better because it's horrifying. I cannot use
Mm-hmm.
that word strong enough because the men's heads are on the women's bodies, the children's bodies. They're torn
Yeah.
to pieces in human centipede. It is horrifying.
Oh yeah, it's straight up body horror. Like it's just, but again, I love how he doesn't like dive into it. Like, oh, how are they put together? Like I love again, I love how it's just more straight up telling us, yeah, this is what happened. Moving on.
Yep. Um, what I really appreciated, and this shows a lot about Tal Kamar and his character, Caden.
Yep.
He sees this and he can't stomach it.
Yep. Everybody begins like throwing up and retching. Like,
Oh yeah, but even Tal Kamar, who's literally, I'm pretty sure he's hundreds of years old.
mm-hmm.
He's done terrible things, seen terrible things. He cannot stomach how terrible this is. Granted, he doesn't have all his memory and all that, but still, I
Yeah.
it just to me
And
went a long way with his character. Like I reread the chat that paragraph section, whatever, of him retching and all that because I was surprised it was Caden that it
yeah.
affected him so much.
Mm-hmm. Like I knew we expected it out of War, just because War is very much that emotional guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to see it from Caden, and I think even Alric too.
I don't think it mentions Elric.
I don't think he mentions Alric, but it was just more kind of like a broad statement that yeah, he wasn't the only one.
Yeah.
Like everybody in the group had a tough time with it.
Yeah.
So appreciate that. I love how now we're getting more into the Dark One's monsters.
Yes. This is the army,
Yeah,
the blind, or whatever they're called.
the blind. Yeah, whatever. Because again, I thought the blind was another army, but I'm not sure.
I'm pretty sure this is the blind.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. No. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Because
So.
they are seen without eyes. The creatures without
Mm-hmm.
eyes. So I'm pretty sure it's the blind.
Yep. Yeah. You're right. You're right. Because yeah, the way they describe their helmets, that they have
Mm-hmm.
no eye holes. So.
But then what do you think of the echoes?
Bro.
I know. I was like,
Like
oh man, that is oh
that is twisted, and I love
I know.
it.
That is one of those things where I really appreciated how terrifying that would be.
And this is where, in one respect, I like and also hated War at the same time.
Yeah.
Because War, in every respect, is supposed to kind of almost represent us in these situations. He's almost like, quote unquote, the everyday man.
Okay.
In the respect of, like, if we were given the view of here is a woman and child hobbling towards you, yeah, we want to do everything we can to help them out.
Hmm.
And then we hear that, oh, they're looks like they're infected by this horrendous thing, and you have magic. Like, let's see if we can cure them. Let's see if it goes down that rabbit hole. Like, let's do everything we can to help and save them. Whereas the practical side is like, there's nothing we can do to save them. Not
Yeah.
at this point. It's like we don't have anything to tie them up with. We don't have rope. We could leave them here, but that's going to kill somebody else. Option number 3, we kill them and end it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
I
that, and this is where I wanted to smack. Where it's just like, where it just
get it over
put them
with.
out of put them out of their misery.
I I think they do make this point, but I don't think it was made or emphasized strong enough. They're
Mm-hmm.
not human anymore.
They're not.
I mean, they say it in a roundabout way,
Mm-hmm.
But that simple statement breaks everything. Because you can
Yeah,
argue the finite details around it, but what it comes down to, they are not human. They will
they are
kill,
a husk.
they will destroy everything. And that's how they get to him finally, is they point out that group was travelers. That wasn't people here originally. This woman and her son that used to exist murdered these people, and they will do it to others.
Yeah, actually, I think that was what finally convinced Dezia. Where again, where I'd say was more in denial. It's like, no, we gotta do everything we can. We gotta do everything we can. We gotta do everything we can. Which is where I wanted to smack him. Just a gib
Yeah.
slap. Just a little. Come on.
Well, I thought it was no, it was Desia who was arguing it. It was the other way. War had
Yeah.
accepted, but Desia had said no, and she's like, she basically was saying no, like we need to give him the chance, and that's when it went to attack Word, and so she kills him. She kills the woman.
I thought it was. Let me reread it because I thought Wurt and Desi were on the same page of like, no, let's save him. Let's do everything we can to save him. And then Wurt approached her and says, "Is there anything I can do to help?" And then that's where she turns and grabs a knife to go after him, and Desia shoots her. Yeah, moving over. Yeah, Terrace Grass moving over to the woman and kneeling beside her. I'm sorry, he said, tone gentle. What can I do to help? Lias just kept on weeping, her body racked with deep sobs. Word turned to look at the others helplessly. Behind him, Lias moved like a cat. She snatched the dagger from her dead son's hand and spun blade arcing towards Wur's heart. Before anyone else could react, Desia drew her bow and fired. The arrow sped past Wur's ear and
Mhm.
took Lias in the eye. The one gave a single scream and then collapsed motionless. Everyone else stood there frozen to the spot. Terrace looked shocked by the speed at which events had turned. Word twisted in his crouching position to look at the corpse behind him, then rose. Thank you, Desia, he said sadly.
Okay, so
Word and
Desia
Desia
both
were,
were on the same page all the way up until
mm-hmm.
she went to attack. I
Yeah,
am,
as soon as she attacked, Desia's like, I gotta protect Word, and shot her.
yeah. Okay,
Okay. Then, all right, final
that's
chapter,
there.
chapter 3 and
Yeah.
4.
So this one, of all the chapters, I think was actually my least favorite.
Okay.
I am, and it's just because I've come to expect the faster pace out of his book,
Mm-hmm.
and this one is a slower pace one. I am,
Yeah.
and
And
it
that's why
felt
I like Ashes.
well. It was also that it felt needlessly longer.
Okay, I would agree. Yep, 100%.
I am like there's an interruption just for an interruption, and it may be to establish the character as Ionius, uh, of the administrator Ionius, and establish his. And I'm pretty sure actually it was because they hint that he's an augur.
Okay.
That did you catch that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, we're going to that. So it's when Elosian was talking to him,
Mm-hmm.
and he says,
He should have been down there, Your Grace. He made no move to enter illusion.
because he says before I would have known if he could lie, but now I can't tell.
Hmm. And for me, I was taking that more along the lines of if you go back and look at Terrace's, the way he again, you got to remember here, he looked at Terrace and he looked at Elosian. It was very much more on. I already knew what you were going to pick. I already knew
Yeah,
because you were so. And again, I think that's where I think you're right. Where it could be for where it probably is foreshadowing that, but this is the red herring that I'm following.
yeah,
Of that again, Elosian before would have like anybody that touches anything that is gifted or anything that's part of essence, get it out of there, get rid of it,
yeah,
because that's how hard Elosian was towards any gifted, towards any of the essences or any of the augurs. He was just that focused. He's like, now I have to go up and ask you.
hmm I could definitely see that. especially rereading. I can see it from that point. That was my first thought with it as well. But the emphasis on I would have known he was lying.
Yeah, it's a nice little going, hey, hey,
I
you might be an
think
augur.
I
You
think
might be
he
an
was
augur.
one of the original augurs that
Hmm.
he betrayed the others. And so that's why he's
Hmm.
a zealot. He's a zealot to destroy everything with it because he saw the horrors that they were putting out. And he wanted
Okay.
nothing to do with that. He was on
Okay,
the
that can make
inside.
sense.
So that's what I think it's going to be. Um, but at the same time, I think you definitely could be right. And I could be reading more into it than it is.
And again, this is why I do like doing this book club, is because we get two different perspectives. Like,
Exactly.
like we read it again. I know you read it faster paced than I do, and I'm like a snail.
That's the way it goes.
But again, this is really cool because we get two different opinions, we get two different perspectives. Because even just like, again, yeah, we agree most of the time, but then we're like, oh, I have this interpretation of it. Like, oh, I did think of it that way. That's
Yeah,
kind of cool. Okay, I like going down that rabbit hole.
I do too. It definitely makes us a lot more fun.
Oh yeah, but
So
and
here's. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and this just to kind of wrap up the chapter, because yeah, as you're like, oh yeah, they just had a catching scene, just have a catching scene and introduce this character. And then what proceeds after, I was like, honestly, if you cut out that entire thing with the administrator coming in, it would be the exact same.
It would, but they needed a reason for her to
Mm-hmm.
use the veil. They
Yeah.
needed a reason for her to use one of those items
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise she never would. Her character, her personality wouldn't do it.
Would. Yeah.
So this was something that happened to push plot along
Mm.
rather than the characters acting to push plot. Like
Yeah.
it's
It's
plot
very
pushing the
much then
characters.
this happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fine. In some cases it's needed.
Mm-hmm. In this
Um
case, it was needed.
yeah. And I think it could have been handled better. I think a better option for it all would be that, like, I don't know. I think when she was kidnapped, that
Yeah.
they had one of those items with them, one of the, yeah, basically they have like the ring with them or one of those other items with them, and she happens to get it, and it's more of a fight to get out. And she's holding the item, and she realizes that she can use it.
Yeah. This is where I'll admit, because as I've written and rewritten my story,
Mm-hmm.
there are things that I'm like, oh yeah, this is what it is. Then I go and I'm like, I get down to a certain point in the line. I'm like, now it's turning into more of a cliche. So I then go back through, rip it out entirely. And there are some times where the cliche is necessary, like
Yeah,
in this case with the catching. And this is why I think also Rothfuss takes forever to write, because he does this phenomenally well. Where it's more like this fell into his lap, and now he uses it to,
yeah,
like, Kavoth will use it to his advantage and learn from it,
yes.
or have it bite him in the butt because he did it a different way,
Yeah,
like
I have
trying to
this all
breathe.
powerful weapon. I'm going to sell it for 50 coins so I can get food.
Or trying to, oh, with the very
Breathe when he
beginning,
links his lungs to
air
air to
to
try
air, yeah,
and, yeah,
to try and blow the wind.
yep,
See sympathy. Oh my gosh, yeah.
just hilarious. It
So,
almost killed him.
and again, this is where every author does it differently, and they all have their own style. And this, it does fit Islington's writing style for this
It
book.
does. It does. I see points where I'm just like, if you had done this, it would have worked so much better. But that's
Mm-hmm.
backseat driving.
Yeah, and again, I do the exact same thing. I'm like, he could have done this better. Like, I think at one point when Asha was kidnapped, I'm like, we are literally skipping days in a
Yeah.
matter of sentences. I would, again, I'm not saying drag it out an entire page, like, maybe a paragraph.
Yeah. At least make it feel like the time's passing rather than
Or even really give us a sense of Asha's emotional state. Again, I feel like I'm saying this every other section here, is, again, give us a little bit more of their emotional insight. It's written in third person, and I'm going to assume third person omniscient at this point. Just give us a little bit more of their emotional feedback. Like, again, she's in prison and this guy's threatening to kill her. I'm pretty sure I'd be terrified.
Yep, exactly.
Stuck in Hannibal Lecter's basement. Yeah, I'm gonna be scared. I'm gonna be scared out of my mind.
Yep.
So just giving that little bit more, like, okay, emotional state. Just tell us the emotional state. And because, again, he does that in some sections and doesn't do it in others. So I'm just like, can we have a little bit more consistency?
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
But
I think that's a good place to put a bookmark in.
I would agree. So, again, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this Tomes podcast and following us on our book club as we were reading The Shadow of What Was Lost by James Islington. So far, it's been a fantastic read, and I would definitely recommend it at this point to other people.
Yeah.
To give it a nice little read. If you're especially wanting into the fantasy genre, that's not like super... If you're wanting to tackle a bigger book, that's at least easier to read.
Yes. Definitely recommend it. It is a great read so far. Great story. Highly encourage you to read it.
And we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you so much for tuning in.